Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. I just got back from vacation and I made some big changes to my lifestyle and routine, so stick around to the end to find out. Today I had push day, so without further ado, let's get right into it.
So I hopped off the bus and it turns out that there's just a giant snowstorm happening in Hanover. So I had to make the trek through, over a foot of snow, but definitely worth it.
God, yes.
So I decided for this month that my lift of choice was going to be incline Smith machine. I am coming back from vacation, so I did drop the weight significantly so I wouldn't injure myself, just because that would really suck just to start off this spring like that. Also, I forgot to record the first 2 sets, so this is my final set of Smith machine incline. Let me tell you, I really did fight for this last rep over here. After my 3 sets of Smith machine incline, this is one of my favorite movements. It's behind the back cable lateral raises. Really emphasizes a really deep stretch of the shoulders. And if you know how to flex your shoulders, it can be incredible for the contraction as well. Normally you have to go a little bit lighter, so I'm doing 12.5 on these. And they can be a little bit tricky just to get the mind muscle connection, but once you do, they're unlike any lateral raise that you will do. Because most lateral raises really emphasize the contracted section, like especially if you do a lot of dumbbell lateral raises, all the tension's right at the top where the muscles are strongest. Whereas when you have behind the back, the tension is actually greatest when it's at its most stretched position. My AirPods kept falling out during these sets. That's why you see me kind of stop a little bit. But let me tell you, these were definitely a grind to get through. Anyways, while these sets go on, I thought I would just share a little bit of a story time. During my trip, I actually went to Georgia. I'm in this one group, so they ended up paying me to fly out, which was pretty cool. And we got to just kind of explore around Atlanta. And then also, I think we went to Nashville, Tennessee, and that was pretty cool. I got to see the fake Parthenon as well there, which was also kind of on my bucket list. I didn't really know what was really in Nashville. So that was pretty awesome. And then we got to spend a lot of time at one of my friend's lake houses. And I got to go on a jet ski for the first time. And let me tell you, if you haven't been on a jet ski, you have to. They are insane. I mean, these things topped out at like 70 miles an hour. And in no way or world should anybody trust me with something that goes that fast in the water. But, they definitely did. So, props to the Sea Groves. Anyways, so this next movement I like to work my way up to. I like using the V-bar grip just because I feel like I kind of have some wrist problems when it comes to using straight bars for tricep pushdowns. And just a note for all of you guys watching, I use this more as a heavy compound lift, kind of more as decline bench on top of heavy tricep pushdown. So it does recruit a little bit more other muscles, which I'm fine with. And I kind of slowly work my way up because I don't quite know, since I've been on vacation, what I can hit. And so I move from 57 to 77 and then finally to 87.5. And really just had to grind through these. They do feel very heavy. However, I found the most success from pairing those with some isolation exercises for the triceps. And then at some point, the reps just don't even work. As you can see there, it's just complete failure. Anyways, this is the point where I normally take off my pump cover and go check my weight. And I weighed in today at 182 pounds, which means I'm a few pounds down. That's quite all right. And I always pair my behind the back lateral raises with the ones that go straight in front. Kind of steered away from dumbbells. At least for this month, I've decided that I'm gonna only be doing these exercises in this video for all of my push days. I've also found that I'm able to get a really nice mind-muscle connection when it comes to these kind of cable lateral raises. And I'm also able to push it just super hard and a little bit heavier. So these are actually with 17.5 pounds rather than 12.5. And I find just pairing those with the behind the back just do absolute wonders for my shoulders. And you will notice that on some of these unilateral exercises, they do have a little bit of different reps depending on the arms, which can lead in most people to muscle imbalances. However, with the way that I train, normally it ends up balancing out. So on the next set of these that I do, the reps actually switch per arms. So it balances out for me. But everyone has their own way of training. And so far my shoulders remain symmetrical, which is nice. And I always hit these heavy tricep pushdowns at least for another set, just to stimulate as much growth as I can. Like I said, I use it as a compound movement, and in no way is it a normal tricep pushdown. Just trying to load it up as much as possible to get the most activation out of all of the push muscles. And like I said about the rep switching, on this one, it's my right arm that gets 14, and on my other arm, I get 11. And so the reps just kind of flip and it all evens out. And because I'm doing heavy incline Smith machine, I've decided to use a lot less emphasis for my front delts, which is why you'll see me working a lot more on my side delts during my push days. And then I save my rear delts for back day. And I always like to push my sets near to or fully to failure. I've found that I can recognize where I'm 1 to 3 reps short of failure and I'm able to stop, but I do like pushing it that extra rep just in case I can, especially if it's a lot lower weight, so I'm not frying my central nervous system. And like I said, I found the greatest tricep growth for me comes when I pair that super heavy tricep pushdowns and dips with isolation exercises. And I normally like to switch them out. What I do, I like doing cable tricep pushbacks. Sometimes I'll do some heavier tricep movements with skull crushers. But I found this is one of my favorites, which is just a simple unilateral tricep pushdown with a D handle. And I found that I can't really push as much weight, which is perfectly fine. And I completely agree with what Mike Mentzer said when he said that intensity is the number one factor that determines muscle growth. And so you'll see with these that my reps become a little bit sloppier as the sets go on, but it ends up working out because I reached near failure. And this is my favorite fly variation, having bent over flies, just because it has a lot of emphasis on the stretched part of the movement. In comparison to a lot of flies, actually have a lot of tension on the contracted part, and there's been new scientific evidence that the stretched part of the rep is the best for muscle hypertrophy. And I've also found that you're able to load these up pretty well. And so here I'm doing 42.5 on each side, and it works out with no pain. I always like adding in weighted dips because they're super easy to progressively overload. However, at this point during the workout, I am pretty fatigued, and so doing this on top of the next set of flies, you'll see that my reps are pretty low. I also love just finishing my push days out with a set of flies, just because you're able to get a nice pump and walk out feeling like you had a good workout.
All right, y'all. Yeah, I'd definitely say that. We're looking decent considering that we just came back from vacation. We're still looking pretty full, which is really nice. But we definitely have lost some size and even some definition, which is quite all right. I mean, I definitely expected it. We're down 4 pounds, which honestly, I'm fine with, just because I know a lot of it's just water, but at the same time, I can definitely see a difference in my physique. Yeah, like we definitely added in a bit more chubs, was not eating healthy. And when I did eat, it wasn't very great. Like I said, that's fine. Ultimately, it feels like we're starting to just kind of get back into the gym again, which is all right with me. So our numbers are down, as you can notice. You know, before I was sitting somewhere around, sitting 215 for 10, or for 8 on incline. Now we actually we bumped ourselves down to 185 just because I don't want to hop back into a weight that's too heavy for me and then end up regretting it by getting an injury. So yeah, I think this is how our training style is going to be looking from here on. I think we're going to be just progressively overloading the same movements. At least for this next month, we'll be using the same movements and just incrementally moving up. And yeah, we are switching over to push-pull legs, and I'm adding in a bit more rest, just because, I don't know, in fall term, I ended up gaining over closer to like 20 pounds, and then this term, I only ended up gaining 10. And the difference was I switched to a different split, just so I could focus a lot more on my arms rather than everything else. And it did make a big difference, you know, my arms definitely grew the most out of my body, but here we're just looking to add on the most mass, and to do that, yeah, I'm just gonna have to switch over to push-pull legs. I think no matter what weight I get to, I feel like I have to start the cut sooner rather than later, just because not only was it the split that was making me plateau a bit, but just my metabolism caught up to me. I've been eating the same meal 3 times a day, and I stopped growing. And it wasn't because of lack of sleep or anything. And the training obviously played a big part in it, but a large part of that was just food. My body started to catch up with me. Not only was it hard to choke down food, but also just the amount of food wasn't making the same amount of difference anymore, which is all right. Just means that we need to have at least a mini cut to reset that so I can start gaining a little bit more. And it'll be pretty cool to see me a little bit more diced, because y'all haven't been able to see that yet. But once I'm able to get there, it's gonna be looking pretty freaky, because underneath all these shoves and everything else, definitely is quite a bit of muscle. So I'll probably have like a 10-pound cut over 7-8 weeks or something like that. The most I'll cut for is 10 weeks if I want to really take the cut pretty slow. But yeah, just planning for a little small one. Probably drop somewhere between 8 and 10 pounds. A pound per week is what I'm going to be shooting for. Trying to maintain as much muscle as I possibly can. Because definitely not trying to lose anything here. And if I do it right, I shouldn't lose almost any. And it'll set me at a good place in order to start bulking back up.